order, County Council. Okay, I'll say that again. I'll call the meeting to order, Council, and good morning. If everyone would rise and join me in the singing of O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you, Council. I'll ask the clerk to take the roll call, please.
Councillor Mackey.
Present.
Councillor McKay.
Here.
Councillor Carlton. Councillor Pringle. Councillor McQueen is sends his regrets at this time. Councillor Nielsen. Councillor Patterson. Councillor Dickert. Councillor Kentner. Councillor Keaveney. Councillor Body. Councillor Gregg. Warden Milne.
Present.
Councillor Dobreen. Councillor Matrosovs. Councillor Bourdignon.
Present.
Councillor Echoes. Councillor Hutchinson. And I'll confirm that Councillor McQueen is present as well.
Thank you, Tara. And speaking of roll calls, I'm happy to report the Leafs showed up last night. So I'll now, before we start, acknowledge with respect the history, spirituality, and culture of the Anishinaabe, Six Nations of the Grand River, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat, Wyandot peoples on whose traditional territories we gather and whose ancestors signed treaties with our ancestors. We recognize also the Métis and Inuit whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all, as treaty people, live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. Is there any declaration of interest? Seeing none, if one should arise during the course of the meeting, bring it to our attention, please. We have a couple sets of minutes. The first is the County Council and Committee of the Whole minutes dated April 27th. Someone care to move acceptance of those minutes? Councillor Nielsen and Councillor Mackey. Any discussion? All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. We have no closed meeting matters, no reports. We have one bylaw. It is regarding the tax policy and levy taxes for upper tier purposes for the year of 2023. Would someone care to move that, please? Councillor Dickert, Councillor Pringle. Mary Lou, would you care to speak to that? Or is there anything you wish to add? No? Okay. Councillor Eccles, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you. Number 3 in the tax rates that would be reduced. Farmland weighting development, and that's a reduction of 75%. Is that from the farm rate or is that from the residential rate? And if it's already been rezoned for development, would we put it into what it's going to be developed for ahead of time instead of having it sit there as non-farm land?
Mary Lou, would you speak to that, please?
That's a great question. It's a great question for a Thursday morning. Under B, for the first subclass of farmland awaiting development and all other classes by the percentage required. So the tax rate matches the tax rate for the first subclass. The tax rate is going to be based on whatever class that property is in at the time the tax billing goes out. So beyond that, I'd have to ask probably some guidance from MTE or ask one of our local treasurers how the process goes when they're finding that there's a farmland awaiting development.
Oh, no, that's fine. Kim wishes to speak to it as well, please.
Thanks, Mr. Warden, and good morning, council. I think that what we want to keep in mind here is that except for the change that was made to the multi-residential class, that there's nothing that's changed with this bylaw from previous years. So if that gives council some confidence, I do recognize that the language used to describe what's happening here is a little bit complex. And we can go back to, I think we need to go back to the report that accompanied the bylaw and perhaps Peter from MTE for a little bit more clarification about exactly how this is meant to be interpreted. But we're not making a change here. My gut says that this is saying that this property will continue to be taxed as if it was at the farm rate. But I will leave it there.
Counselor Eccles, does that answer the question?
Sorry. On that portion, yes, it's going to take a little bit for us to go forward, and if there is some changes to be made, whether it be for 2024 or 2025, or in the process, it ends up in being 2030. But I do have a further question, if I could, on number 7, the June 30th, 50% of the amount required for the upper tier purposes. I apologize to Mary Lou and to council. I've seen this for a number of years and didn't really pick up on it until going through this portion of it. At the lower tiers, we collect the first 2 installments prior to this tax rate being set. So it's 50% of last year's level. And this June 30th one, we have to the lower tiers have to remit what this year's level is. So we haven't collected the taxes on behalf of the county, that portion, but yet we're submitting it, if I'm correct on that, Mary Lou, as 2023, but we've only collected 50% of 2022's assessment. And I think it's too late, and it's the way it's been done for years, but I would think going forward, would look forward to that mirroring what the lower tier is as we collect the taxes. It's not maybe it's not huge, but we're collecting from 2022, the first 50%, but paying 2023. So I would like the director ask if Mary Lou and the lower tier treasurers can address that and see what impact it would have on the lower tier treasuries. Thank you.
Mary Lou?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Through you to Councillor Eccles, that's correct that the June 30th amount is based on 50% of what the current requisition is, less the 25% that was collected in March based on last year's requisition. This, as he's mentioned, has been in place for a number of years, and I do recall there were conversations with the lower tier treasurers at that time. Certainly something we can revisit, but unfortunately, I'd say it's a bit too late for this year. I just went back and I looked at the schedule with regard to the first question. And so under the tax ratios, there is a class for farm taxable. So there is no class for farm awaiting development. So I hope that helps also to clarify.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Counselor Greg.
Thanks, Ward Milne. I would just note, I found in a little further to Councillor Echo's comments, I found it a little peculiar that the document came to council in the method it did. And I just wonder, a suggestion for later this year might be that there's an opportunity to construct some dialogue from council to input next year's document, because what I found was this year's document was created by a consultant and the treasurers, but when it came to council, there was, in my purview, I don't think any of council ever had an opportunity to provide input or ask questions. And then it became time sensitive when the document was there. It's pretty much, you got to get this done because the treasurers are working on tight timelines. So I just think it would be helpful if there's commentary later in the year that informs the treasurers at that time. And then perhaps maybe there's some options come back in the report in the future as to, do you want A, B, C, or D moving forward? That's just my comment.
Oh, good comment. Kim?
Thank you. And while we did have Peter from MTE come and talk to council and try to explain some of the background that goes into tax policy, I really do feel for you. It is a very complicated area, and what might appear to be a simple change on the surface then has ripple repercussions and often takes quite a lot of analysis to really understand what the implications of a particular decision was. Now that we've been through the process, all the way through the process, I take your suggestion, Councillor Greg, as a great one. Bring back Peter from MTE, and we'll have some more discussions with the local treasurers, and then we can do another workshop with him, and hopefully it can be a little bit more interactive, and you'll have more questions having been through the process at that time. But we'll look at something for later in the fall, perhaps, if that's okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That is carried. News and celebrations. Councillor Body.
Thank you, Warden Milne. I actually have a couple here today. I want to send a congratulations to Key DH Technologies, Inc. for being one of the top 10 companies in Canada as sustainability change maker. This is the second year in a row that they have won it. They operate Hydrogen Optimized and a couple of companies over in Collingwood. Pretty impressive. The press release from the CEO. Okay, sorry, who gave this award? That's what I wanted to say. Sustainable Development Technology Canada, which is a government foundation, which is used to fund new clean technology. And the quote was, with their patented water electrolysis systems for the large-scale production of green hydrogen, Key is creating highly skilled jobs in Canada, right here in Grey County, and showing significant revenue growth. So that's pretty impressive. Congratulations to them. Second thing, on Tuesday night, I went to the 91st Kiwanis Grey County Music Festival, Festival of Stars. Really, really impressive. We just sung "O Canada." They sung "O Canada." And the room's full of choirs in a church. It was amazing. With the exception of Councillor McKeveney next to me, it sounded so much better than all of us in the room. It's pretty special to be there. A bit of a segue. My mother played the very first one 91 years ago. She had to travel to Meaford. She was 8-year-old. She was a piano player. I played it. My son has played the music festival. So it's a generational thing for musical families. The ball got dropped when it got to me, and my son picked it up a bit. But something that my mother always really loved, and the music festival is kind of, I think, important. Kids are coming in from Grey and Bruce and all over to participate in there and be judged and learn something and stand up with confidence and perform and learn confidence. And it's a pretty neat thing for our area. And that, of course, leads to this Sunday, the 14th. We want to wish all of our mothers who have looked after us and nurtured us and raised us a very happy Maple Leafs. Oh, sorry, I think it's my spelling, my writing. I think it's supposed to be Mother's Day. I'm reading it as Maple Leafs Day, but I think it's supposed to be Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Body. Those are indeed very impressive and very newsworthy and celebratory events. Certainly much more impressive than that jersey you're wearing. Counselor McQueen.
Well, thank you, Mr. Warden. I'm happy to announce that the Grey Highlands Ram Rodeo is again on the 27th and 28th of May. You can get tickets at greyhighlands.ca/rodeo. Last 2 years we've had it, we've raised over $70,000 for the Markdale Hospital. And so we have a venue that's going to hold even more people. So we'll have some good weather and we'll have a full house. There's a dance by the Kinsmen in the evening. And also because the Leafs won last night, I understand you're buying lunch.
Thank you, sir. And you are mistaken. Counselor Keaveney.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and good morning, everyone. And I can't top either of the councillors, McQueen or Body beside me, but I did want to mention that Bogner is having an artisan fair this Saturday from 9 until 4 o'clock at the Bogner Community Center. It's just a great little community hall, and there will certainly be something for everyone from turnballs to baking. So come on out and support the good artisans of Bogner on Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Anyone else? Counselor DeBreen.
Good morning, Warden, and good morning, County Council. I just want to announce that yesterday, Southgate in the village of Dundalk hoisted the bowl of their first water tower, and it can be seen from very far away above the tree line. So I just wanted to let everyone know that it soon will be the highest, as the Warden has said in the past, the highest body of water in Ontario.
She's absolutely right. And I'll just add on to that, if you're talking elevation, the top of the CN Tower is about a little over 2,000 feet above sea level. The observation deck is, of course, below that. That's the bubble on the tower. The top of our water tower, when it's complete in Dundalk, will be about 1,850 feet above sea level. So we'll be looking about 500 feet down onto the observation deck of the CN Tower. So you're absolutely right. We will have the highest body of water in Ontario. Councillor Matrosovs.
Thank you, Warden. And speaking of singing, it was delightful that in honor of the coronation that was on last week, we were able to host at our Anglican church in Clarksburg. We had membership of choirs who came from Meaford as well from Owen Sound and joined together. And certainly that is a wonderful occasion to be able to hear all those voices coming together from across Grey County to celebrate and acknowledge and support King Charles III. Coming up, we have our Lobster Fest. It is earlier this year, so if you're looking for lobster and chicken, there's chicken included as well. We are going to be hosting it on May 20th this year, and it will be at the Marsh Street in Clarksburg. There are options to drive through and take it home and be able to enjoy it with your family at your own place, but also we will have a sit down at 7 o'clock. So there are still tickets available. If you're interested, you can go to either our town's exploreblue.ca website, or you can access it through I'll get the deputy mayor, the Councillor Bourdignon might have the lobsterfestblue.ca, I think it is. Go to exploreblue.ca. That's much easier to remember. But it is a tradition that we have in order to be able to raise funds for our community organizations. This is the municipality is in partnership with the Blue Mountain Legacy Fund in order to be able to distribute the funds back into the community organizations that provide the services that they do. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Councillor Eccles, you had your hand up. Thank you, Mr. Warden. And if the lobster you find is too blue in the Blue Mountains on May 27th, the Saturday after you've participated in the rodeo and you want to come to have a gourmet meal, Newstead Lions Lobster Fest
is on May 27th, again this year, back after COVID. 38th year, I believe it is 38 years that the Newstead Lobster Fest. Tickets for that can be purchased online or contacting any of the Newstead Lions. They have a website, the Newstead Lions for Lobster, Alaskan King Crab, or the best beef, which is Grey County beef, we know, not coming from imported from any county to the west or south of us. They have steak as well too. So steak, lobster and crab. May 27th.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Hutchison.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and good morning, council. I just wanted to do a shout out to the South Grade Chamber of Commerce for the Home and Garden Show that we hosted in Flesherton. It was the last weekend of April. We anticipated about 1,800 people, and we actually, due to the weather, I think helped us. 2,500 people went through. 48 exhibitors, and it was quite a success. Well, that's an annual drive that the South Grade Chamber is doing, and just wanted to say thank you for everyone that participated, and of course all the participants. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Counselor Nielsen.
Just in line with member Matrosoff, the Peace Committee, which is made up of members from Grey Highlands as well as Southgate, celebrated the coronation of King Charles III at Grey Gables on Sunday. There was a red oak tree planted a couple of weeks ago in honor of our new king, and there was a fantastic lineup of speakers and discussion about the inauguration. It was interesting because of the unfortunate weather, where the event was held inside Grey Gables with the masking policy. It was done in a way where once everything was done, we were to take our cake and leave because we couldn't take our masks off and eat within. So everybody did honor the regulations and the safety protocols of Grey Gables, but it was a fantastic event with members and I guess patients or clients or customers of Grey Gables and members of our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Sorry. Counselor McQueen.
I guess you could have your cake, but you couldn't eat it too, I guess, right? Just wanted to also bring the attention of council that this Saturday is the 10th anniversary of the Grist Mill Winery in Eugenia. And celebrations will be between 12 and 1, and it's called the Grist Mill Winery. So if you need to update your shelves with wine, that's probably the place to consider. So thank you, Mr. Ward.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I need a motion to adjourn from the council meeting. Counselor Eccles, Counselor DeBreen, discussion. All those in favor? That is carried. So we'll just take a minute and let our tech people